All right, what's going on, guys? It is Tuesday evening. It is time for me to talk about stuff with a blurry camera. All right, we're going to talk today about ketones, everything that you need to know about fat adaptation and what it really means. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of questions that people have about, do I need to take ketones? What are ketones? Why is ketosis important? What is being ketogenic? All that kind of stuff. What's up, MJ? Can you hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me, because I know last week I had issue with sound. I want to make sure that sound is working first before we get started. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. I'm going to keep going, assuming that you guys can hear me, no problem. All right, so before I get started, we're going to talk about everything you need to know about ketones and fat adaptation. Please subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed already. Make sure you click on the bell so that you are reminded every time I drop a video. And most importantly, please share this information, particularly this episode, because I think there's going to be some stuff in here that may be new news or maybe clarifying information that could help a lot of people make some changes and some progress on the journey. And a lot of people are stuck, and this may be a way to help them get unstuck. Okay, so let's talk about ketones. I see it literally every single day, somebody asking about exogenous ketones, or somebody asking about how can I get back into ketosis. So I want to set a baseline first. We're going to define some terms. We're going to talk about what they mean, and then we're going to talk about how they work in the body, okay? And then we'll put this all together, and we'll let you guys come to some of your own conclusions about how things actually work, all right? So the first thing we're going to do, let's talk about ketosis and ketogenic, okay? There's differences, and I want to set the baseline here first with this statement. Being in ketosis does not mean that you are in a ketogenic metabolic state. Ketosis and ketogenesis are two different things. You can be in ketosis and not be ketogenic, okay? It's possible. This is how it works, okay? Let's talk about what is the definition of ketosis, okay? Ketosis is a state of having, okay, this is from the dictionary, I got it written down, okay? This is a metabolic state characterized by raised level of ketones in the body, okay? Ketosis means you have ketones in your body. That's it, ketones in your blood, okay? You can measure them. They're over whatever 0.5 millimoles or whatever the number is that people say is optimal for ketosis, okay? That is ketosis. You're in ketosis. You have ketones. That's it. It doesn't mean anything other than you have ketones in your blood, okay? And when we talk about ketones, primarily we're talking about BHB, beta hydroxy. That we'll get into a little bit of that later, but primarily BHB is what is measured. And when we talk about ketone bodies, when it comes to fuel, we're primarily talking about BHB, okay? Ketogenic, being in a state of ketogenesis, okay, is different than being in ketosis. Being ketogenic will put you into ketosis, okay? Because being ketogenic is when your body is producing ketones to put into your body, into your bloodstream, into your body, okay, for your body to use for fuel, okay? So ketosis means I have ketones. That's it. Ketogenic means I'm making ketones. Big difference, and here's why. I can drink ketones and be in ketosis, okay? That doesn't mean I've done anything to improve my metabolic performance or my body's ability to produce and utilize fat as fuel, okay? Ketogenic processes, the state of being ketogenic is where I'm teaching my body how to break down fat and produce ketones, okay? The fat adaptation is the conversion of fat into ketones, not just the burning and the utilization of ketones. Very different, okay? Ketones can be beneficial at the beginning when your body doesn't know how to utilize ketones, okay? But there's a different level that you need to get to where exogenous ketones are no longer beneficial, because you need to teach your body how to break fat down into the substrates of ketones, into ketone bodies. If you don't do that, then you're not going to see the progress that you're looking for. Okay. So there's a couple of different things. We have two different aspects when we talk about the benefits of exogenous ketones. Okay. Primarily, when someone's first getting started, it can be beneficial to take some exogenous ketones to help your body learn how to utilize ketones for fuel. Simple. Okay. That does not help you burn body fat, number one, because the more fuel you take into your mouth, the less fuel you will burn off of your body. So if you continue to take exogenous ketones along in your journey, you will continually use less body fat for fuel. That's one. Okay. Number two, taking exogenous ketones does not let your body get fat adapted, which is being in the state of ketogenesis, where your body is learning how to convert fatty acids into ketones and then use them for fuel. It's a two-step process. Okay. That's why taking ketones at the beginning can be helpful, because your body doesn't know how to use ketones for fuel. Once your body is keto adapted, that's the difference. Keto adapted is I can now pretty efficiently use ketones for fuel. Okay. That's step one. Step two is being fat adapted, and where you now have to stop the exogenous ketones and you have to teach your body how to turn fatty acids into ketones, fat adapted, and then use them for fuel. That's keto adapted. So fat adapted turns into keto adapted. You want to start by getting keto adapted. Once you got that, your body can use ketones. Then you want to start focusing on teaching your body how to break down body fat or fat that you eat and break it up into ketones so you can use it for fuel. That is when you are being ketogenic. I want to be ketogenic. I don't care if I'm in ketosis, because here's the deal. If I'm ketogenic, chances are I will be in ketosis and I don't have to measure that. Okay. Just by removing carbs from my diet and focusing on not overeating fat and not taking exogenous ketones and working my body and training my metabolic system, I'm going to be producing my own fuel, pulling it from my body fat. That is what fat adaptation is, guys. Okay. So remember that fat adapted and keto adapted are not the same thing. Keto adapted is ketones. Fat adapted is breaking fat down into ketones so that you can then use them. Two different things. Okay. That's why, particularly when it comes to performance and fitness, there's a very, very big difference in the time it takes to be adapted and have the access to fuel that you need when you're doing fitness activities and you're trying to be ketogenic. Okay. It's very often that level of activity, okay, is going to take more of a level of fat adaptation than just keto adaptation. Keto adaptation, you can see a lot of benefits from day-to-day activities. You have more energy, your brain fog is gone, all sorts of things are happening in a good way just by being in ketosis, just by having that first level of keto adaptation. You get rid of the keto flu, your body's starting to burn ketones, everything's feeling good. If you want to really take your exercise, take your fitness, take your body's ability to perform to the next level, then you need to continue through that process until you are fat adapted. And then that's where things, okay? All right. A couple things to think about. So we talked about exogenous ketones. Exogenous means you take them in your mouth. Endogenous, which means burning from your body. There's a couple other things that are different about this process. Okay. Now we're going to talk about how ketogenesis, okay, ketogenesis, the production of ketones, which means the breakdown of fat, okay, actually supports all of the fuel requirements that your body needs, all of them. Okay. Because yes, our body does need glucose. Our body does need glycogen for certain things. Okay. But guess what? We can get that from fat. We don't have to eat carbs. And this is really an amazing thing. Okay. This is another reason why exogenous ketones in many cases are a waste of money and a waste of time. Okay. Because number one, we already talked about taking in fuel in your mouth means you're going to use less on your body. If fat loss is something that we're working on, body composition, building muscle and losing body fat. Okay. So we don't want to take in too much because then we won't burn what's on our body. Taking in ketones doesn't allow our body to learn how to turn fat into ketones. So we're halting and we're stunting that process. So we're slowing down how quickly we get fat adapted when we take in exogenous ketones. So that's strike number 2. Strike number 3 is exogenous ketones do not provide all of the substrates that ketogenic processes do in order to support gluconeogenesis. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Exogenous ketones do not provide all of the substrates needed that the natural ketogenic metabolic processes do to support gluconeogenesis. Okay, ketogenesis and gluconeogenesis work together. Okay, they work off of each other. Okay, many times, and most people think of gluconeogenesis as being a protein-driven process. Okay, we are scared of it. We can't have too much protein because it's going to turn into glucose. Blah 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 blah. Okay, here's the deal: gluconeogenesis is actually a umbrella term for a bunch of different processes in the body that can use anything other than carbohydrates to produce glucose, glycogen. Okay. If you look up the definition of gluconeogenesis, it is the utilization of fat and proteins to produce glycogen and glucose. Okay. So fat's in there. Wait, we can use fat to make glucose. What's going on here? Okay, here's what happens. Okay, I'm going to make this really quick. Okay. When we are fat adapted, okay, when we are ketogenic, not when we are in ketosis, when we are ketogenic, not ketosis. When we're ketogenic, our body takes fatty acids and breaks it up into, okay, a couple different things, right? It breaks it up. Hold on, I got this down. It breaks it up into 3 things: acetoacetate, acetone, and BHB. Okay. So we take fatty acids, we break it up into acetoacetate. That's the first ketone body. Our body doesn't really do anything with acetoacetate. It breaks acetoacetate into 2 more different types of ketones. BHB, which is what we most commonly think of when we think about exogenous ketones or taking ketones, or when we say ketones, most of the time we're talking about BHB. Okay. So if you look at exogenous ketones, you look at the main ingredient, it's going to be BHB of some sort. Okay. And then the second one is acetate. Now, here's the cool thing. BHB goes straight into the ketogenic process, right? Straight into the ketosis, right? That's where you're burning ketones for fuel. Okay. Ketosis is essentially burning BHB when your body has BHB in the system and it's burning BHB for fuel. That's ketosis. Okay. I don't get ketosis until I break down the fatty acids. I got to be ketogenic first. Break down the fatty acids, then I can burn BHB. That's ketosis. Okay. Now, acetone is sitting here on the side. What's acetone going to do? Okay. Acetone is broken down into pyruvate and lactate. Okay. And acetate. 3 more substrates. Acetone is broken up into 3 more things. Okay. So we got fatty acids that are technically broken up into 6 different materials that are used by the body differently. Okay. BHB is the main fuel source for ketosis. Okay. Acetate, pyruvate, and lactate. Acetate and pyruvate go back into what we call the Krebs cycle. Okay. That is the oxidative priority. That is not oxidative priority. That is the oxidative metabolic process where it uses oxygen. So when you do endurance work, when you're doing medium to long type exercises, you're utilizing pyruvate and lactate with oxygen to generate ATP. Okay. So that's where fatty acids, where we talk about fat oxidation, we're talking about breaking fatty acids down into acetate and pyruvate so that we can do long endurance work. Okay. Lactate is put into what's called the Krebs cycle. Okay. Which is it's an anaerobic, non-oxygen utilized metabolic cycle to create ATP for fuel. Okay. when we're lifting heavy weights, when we're doing things, lactate can go into that cycle and help create glycogen. Okay. So all of these things actually feed. So ketogenesis breaks fat down into ketone bodies. Ketone bodies break up into 4 different substrates that are used for ketosis, for oxidative metabolic work pathway, and for glycolytic metabolic pathway. Okay. It feeds all of them. If you are taking exogenous ketones, you don't get all of that. You don't get any of that. You don't get any of the fatty acid breakdown because you're going straight to BHB right into the burning off ketones. Okay. So something to think about, guys. Okay. And this is really a puzzle piece that it's been really hard. It's hard to explain in a chat or in a group when you see someone say, hey, I'm trying to get back into ketosis. And I want to say, it doesn't matter if you're in ketosis, if you're not making your own fat, if you're not breaking down your own fat into ketones, then it doesn't matter if you're in ketosis or not, right? Ketosis just means you have ketones in your blood, okay? And here's the thing. If you have a lot of ketones in your blood, that means you're not burning them. So having a high ketone number doesn't mean anything if you're not utilizing the ketones. You need to do something to burn them off so that you can break fatty acids down and burn them off, right? So that's why eating a lot of fat, I can get a ton of ketones in my blood by eating a ton of fat. I can get a ton of ketones in my blood by taking an exogenous ketone shot or drink. Okay. That doesn't help my body break fat down. And that's the goal. We want to get our metabolism to a point where it's breaking down fat and creating its own ketones. Okay. I hope that makes sense. I can always walk through this. There's a breakdown of this, guys, on my blog. I have a blog that's titled The Truth About Gluconeogenesis. Okay. That kind of breaks us down. There's some graphics you can check out if you want to find out more information. But I really felt like understanding the difference between ketosis and being ketogenic is super important. There's a big difference between being fat adapted and being keto adapted. Keto adapted is easier, okay? And it does not necessarily mean you are making metabolic changes. I want you to understand that. Being keto adapted is the first step in burning fuel, but it doesn't mean that your body knows how to produce its own fuel to burn. Very big difference. Keto adapted and fat adapted. Understand the difference, and it's going to make a huge difference in how you think about and how you apply your nutrition concepts and how you understand how your body is fueled for exercise and for fitness and all those sorts of things. See it all the time. People are, I'm tired. I can't work out. I can't lift as much. All of these things when I'm trying to be ketogenic, the adaptation for exercise takes longer because it requires fat adaptation, not just keto adaptation. Okay. You've got to get to that fat adaptation piece in order for your fitness and your exercise to catch up. So you have energy so you can access the fuel that's in your body while you're working and not just survive and work off of what you've been eating. Okay. So that's the difference. If anybody ever asks you guys a question like, what is ketosis or what is the difference between ketosis and ketogenic or fat adapted and keto adapted? That's basically it, guys. I try to break it down without getting too sciencey. Number one, because I'm not a scientist, right? So I got to understand this in a way that makes sense to me. And then I got to try to explain that to you guys. So we're all on the same sheet of music. Cool. All right. If anybody has any questions, please post in the comments in this video. I'll put the link to my blog article at the bottom in the description. I hope that was helpful. And I'll see you guys next week. Take it easy. It's not ending. You guys all still here?